So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Radio Works World. I am Gill Barham, the Miracle Molecule host, and today I am joined by my lovely friend and relatively new dad, Paul Adamson. Hello.
Hey, Jill. Nice to see you. All well?
Yeah, all good, thank you. We've had a few technical issues, haven't you?
We have.
I should say. It turned out to be my end, actually, not yours. So apologies for that. So we are running slightly later than we promised to be online. But we've got plenty of time. So we're going to get rocking and rolling. Is that okay?
Yeah, cool. Let's rock and roll.
Okay. So before we start, I'd like you to tell us, first of all, a little bit about what you're passionate about, your business particularly. So we're just going to talk business just for the first couple of minutes, really. So tell us what you love.
Sure. Well, I guess what I love is helping people get to where they want to be. It's as simple as that. And you know, in my work of what I do, so I work with various different companies to help their sales teams, to help them unlock their true potential, basically, just by looking at their strategies, about how they're selling, all those sorts of things, and really just inspire them to be the best person that they can be. So that's what I love doing. I love working with somebody and asking the right questions. Actually, what happens is they kind of break through, and then they get the result that they're looking for, and then they realize that actually the biggest barrier they had was actually in their head. That is the biggest journey all of us have to make, is from there to there. And so that's what I'm truly passionate about, and that's what I do.
And do you mostly work with corporates, or do you work with individuals and entrepreneurs and business owners too?
Generally corporate, so it's generally large companies, anywhere from kind of the largest company I work with, I guess, has got 800 staff, to the smallest company that I work with have 20 staff. So I suppose it is across the range. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, that's enough about business,
right,
because we're not here to talk about business.
Sure.
At all. Well, we are going to talk a little bit at the end about business, in fairness, but this show is really all about giving you the opportunity, or really your potential clients, your friends, your listeners, your followers, the opportunity to know a little bit more about you, Paul Adamson.
Sure.
Now, I don't know if you know the program Desert Island Discs on Radio 4. Have you ever listened to that?
I have listened to that a few years back. I can't remember exactly what the format is, but okay. I'm sure we can follow it. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, but it's one of my favorite programs, and it's because they have all sorts of people on it from all walks of life. And I don't know about you, but you tend to form opinions about people, don't you? Sure. Because of what they've done on the television, or whether they've written a book, or whatever it might be. And I love the program because through the format, which is a set format on every show, Kirsty Young, who's the presenter, manages to bring out the true personality and the true person behind the brand, if you like, or the business. And so I wanted to do something very similar. Mine isn't necessarily based on the same as there, which is choosing records, although there will be a little bit of that. So I've structured some questions, and just to tell you, Paul, that everybody gets asked the same questions.
Okay, great.
But I know that you haven't listened to anybody else, and so you've no idea what I'm going to ask you, have you?
I have no idea.
So thank you for putting your faith in me, because lots of people say, what do you want me to prepare? And I say, nothing. Don't prepare anything. It's going to be
yeah. And in fact, that is absolutely the best way, because that's how you meet the real people at the end of the day, isn't it? So,
absolutely. I'm very glad you said that, because I completely agree. Okay, so there's a quick fire round, but we've got a couple of scenarios as well. So my first scenario is that you're away, maybe you're on holiday, or maybe you're on business, and you're in a very nice hotel, and you've got into the bottom floor of a lift or an elevator, and one other person has got into the lift with you. And as you go up to the top floor, because you're going up to lunch, you're going to a very nice restaurant. The lift breaks down between two floors.
Yeah.
And all is good, all is well, because you're not going to get claustrophobic because you've got windows in this lift for a start. You've been told, however, that you're going to be in there 2, maybe 3 hours.
Okay.
But the other bit of good news is that you've got somebody in there with you.
Okay.
And my
Great.
question to you is,
Who would that person be?
who would that person be? Dead or alive? Who would you love to spend 2 or 3 hours with?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Oh, that is a great question. Let me just think now, because there's probably, I can probably think of 2 or 3 different people.
Yeah, but you're only allowed one.
I'm only allowed one, which is a killer, because can we not kind of just assimilate a few people?
No.
I think probably, I'm not sure why I want to say this, but I think probably Elon Musk would be the person in there. I did run through a few other people first, but I think with where we are as a human race in this time right now, to spend 2 or 3 hours with Elon Musk would be a really cool bit of time and a great scenario. I think so. Elon Musk, that's what I'm going to say.
Elon Musk is Mr. Tesla, isn't he?
That's right. So he's CEO of Tesla. He's really focused on embracing new technology and how can we make the planet renewable? How can we work on a much bigger scale? I saw a video by one of his companies, SpaceX, about 6 or 7 months ago, and it's about geometric thinking, meaning that what is it that these guys think? How do they think differently to what a normal company would think about? And so normal companies or people, let's say, are happy with what we call linear growth, which is grow 10% year on year on year, which is cool. However, we're living in an exponential world. And what do I mean by that? I mean this, is that if you think about it, if you just rewind 10 years and you think where technology was 10 years ago, heck, the iPhone wasn't even invented 10 years ago, or maybe it was just about, I'm not sure exactly the dates. But the point is, if you think of how far we've come, we're now on iPhone 7S, and you think of how we can now be here, 2 people broadcasting live to potentially however many billion people are on the planet could be tuning into this. That's a huge change in technology. And as technology is growing exponentially, the people that you see really disrupt industries are the people that think exponentially or geometrically, whatever word you want to use. But the point is, somebody like Elon Musk would think, what can I do to get 10 times the result in the same amount of time? So he wouldn't ever focus on, we'll grow 10% year on year on year. He's interested, well, how can we take our 10-year plan and do the full 10 years into 1 year? Which I think is really, really fascinating part of thinking. And if you look at the disruptors, as they're known, and so people who would be a disruptor would be like, for example, the likes of iTunes completely changed the music industry. You know, musicians now, they don't make money from actually royalties on their songs. What they make money from is live broadcasts, because that's the thing that nobody can cut, stream, close, and download. So putting them in person. So music would be an arm to Airbnb, completely changed the hotel and B&B industry. Uber completely changed the taxi industry. You know, all of these people, I find that fascinating, because I think that that's where, you know, and I started to think exponentially, you know, after watching that video. I was like, how can I think exponentially? And I've been banging on about it, banging on about it to everybody that I've spoken to over the last 6 months. And funnily enough, this is how the universe works, and I love it. I get a call from one of the disruptors, which is Indeed, and they want me to go to Paris and keynote next month in Paris to the guys that own Indeed.
Wow.
The 20 top people. And the first thing it said was in the brief was, we are disruptors. And I was like, that's how the universe works. Because I've been banging on about it, and then suddenly we get a disruptor. So I think spending a bit of time with the likes of Elon Musk or any of the disruptors, I would absolutely love to do, because I just find it fascinating.
Okay, so you're not the first person, by the way, who's chosen Elon Musk. So you'll have to watch some of the other ones to find out who else chose.
Absolutely.
So your guest then, Elon, he's hungry, and you're hungry because you're both going to lunch. So I'm going to magic you up a wonderful table with lovely cutlery and crockery and linen. And I'm also going to magic you up, like Harry Potter, your favorite food that you're going to share with Elon Musk. So what would that be? And drink.
Easy. Tuna sashimi. Tuna
Oh,
sashimi. Nice bit of tuna sashimi, nice bit of wasabi, nice bit of soy sauce to start. Fabulous. That's what I would go for. Main, it'll be some type of fish, whatever is fish of the day, simply cooked, etc. Wine, well, you can't beat a rosé lunch, can you? No one can beat a rosé lunch. So a nice bottle of Minuti rosé or something like that, you know, something awful like that would be just fabulous, you know.
perfect. I'm joining you, by the way. 'Cause I
You're
really
welcome. Everyone welcome. Everyone hop on. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, fabulous. All right. So thank you for sharing that. That's really interesting. Now, I'd like you to take you back now to the 18-year-old Paul.
Yeah.
And I'd like you to share with us what you were doing at 18, around that sort of time. Where were you living? What was happening for you?
Sure. So 18, I would have been in North Wales, and I started my career as a sailing instructor. And the way that I fell into sailing was I'd sailed since about the age of 11. It was just a sport that I was really passionate about and I really loved. In fact, I used to bunk off school and kind of leave mum a note saying, "Hey mum, missed the bus again, gone sailing." That's what I would used to do. and then I'd get on my bike and cycle down to the sailing club and take my boat out and just sail all day on my own, which was kind of fun. So what happened was, how sailing ended up my career was my father passed away at 16. And that really cut me up at the time. I wasn't expecting it. And, you know, it just totally just shattered my whole world. And I just got to a point where I thought, you know what? I can't be doing this academic stuff. I can't be into it. I've just got to go and sort out my head. And so I thought, well, the best way to sort my head out is to just go and do what I absolutely love to do, which is sail. Which to me is freedom. It's, you know, meeting loads of people. There's loads to it. And so what I did was I left school. Some people would call me a dropout. Bring it on. I love that term. And I enrolled on a training instructor course, a place called Plasmannau in North Wales. And I spent 6 months there training to be a sailing instructor. And I loved it. So really, kind of when I look back at that time, all of that was really my university to teach me how to teach, but also be a good communicator and understand. You know, I learned so many skills there. I learned the skill of just being able to be flexible in terms of when you're teaching different people, and you know, if somebody's not getting it, just finding the way and teaching in a way that they'll understand. But not being rigid that the next person you go to teach, who might even be sitting right next to them, still doesn't get it. So I was
That's quite sophisticated for an 18-year-old, isn't it?
Yeah, I just kind of fell in. But like the kind of so I was doing that, and I loved it, and I met so many different people, and I just loved it. And I used to say, actually, when somebody asks me, what do I do? And we all get that, don't we, at dinner party or wherever the hell we are. So, Paul, tell me, what do you do? I always used to say, well, I get to sleep with 5 different people every week. And I was like, yeah, because I'm a sailing instructor, and they come and they live on the boat, and we all sleep on the boat, and we all disappear off around the Irish Sea, and we learn some skills. So that's what I was doing, and I loved it. And, you know, it's brought an incredible journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that. And what were you listening to at the time? You know, what music was in that era? What was in your playlist?
Probably be. So 18 would have been things like the Doors. I was really into the Doors at one point. I was, you know, that was it. I was Jim Morrison. I had the beads. I had the waistcoat. I had the leather trousers. Oh, shocking now when I think about it. But yeah, I was that. I was that Jim Morrison wannabe. So I was really into the Doors. I was really into Bob Dylan. And anything, and I've always had a big love of classical music, actually, and that came from a friend of mine who was a mentor when I was sailing, and he used to just put Classic FM on the boat, and so quite often I'd just have Classic FM on all the time, and so you just get to learn all these beautiful classical pieces when you're just sailing, you know, wherever you are, you know. So it was so you know, I've never really had I love music, but I love all music. So whether that be rocking out to a bit of Guns N' Roses all the way through to a bit of Mozart, Baby Lullaby, which I hear quite often now, obviously. So, you know, all music I love. So, yeah.
Okay, just to tell you that I was brought up with the Doors because my brother Henry, he loved the Doors. So from about the age of 12, 13, that was in my head all the time. So okay, thank you. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to take you to the Paul at 35.
Right.
So what was Paul at 35 doing?
So Paul at 35, so I'm 39 now. So 4 years ago. Wow, it's amazing what you can do in 4 years. Yeah. So at 35, no, I need to get this right. I was 4 years ago. Okay, so I would have been in Dunleary in Ireland, which is basically south of Dublin. I would have been there running my sailing school, and it was around about that time that the universe stepped in and gave me this whole different path of speaking. So what had happened was, to give you a bit of background on that, I met Audrey, my absolute soulmate, in the Caribbean, 10 years ago now. And of course, when you meet the person that you're totally besotted, totally in love with, you'll do anything for them, right? And so I said, right, that's it. I'm giving up this sailing malarkey. I'm going to move to Ireland because that's where she's going to be. And I'll work it out when I get there. And I remember very clearly standing on the pier in Dunleary, looking out over the harbour, back at the 3 yacht clubs there, thinking, what on earth am I going to do here? What on earth? And so I realised that at the time in Dunleary, there wasn't a proper sea school for big boats, for yachting. And so I thought, well, that's what I'll do. I'll set up a yachting school. And so I had done that, and that went incredibly well. Partly, 2 reasons. Number one was the location. Of course, we were right next to a capital city, so people had cash and they wanted to do things at the weekend. And the second thing was I had no competitors at the time. So that took off really, really well. And then it was during that time that then a really good friend of mine, Pat Rigney, we were going to go sailing on one evening. And what happened was it was blown off. So I had way too much wind. And so I said to Audrey, hey, Audrey, grab a bottle of Mount Gay rum and grab some Coke, and we'll go down to Pat and Denise's boat and let's just have a rum and Coke on their boat, right? So anyway, after a bottle of Mount Gay later, thereabouts, okay, we're all having a great time and everything's great. And Pat turns to me and he goes, Paul, my guest speaker is cancelled next week on Friday to come and speak to my sales team. Would you come in and speak to them? He said, I don't know, about crossing the Atlantic or something like that. So I was like, sure, Pat, I'll do it. No problem. And I can remember the next day with a stinking hangover, he even phoned me to say, do you remember what you agreed to last night? And I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'm in. And then I walk into this room and I end up then in this typical kind of hotel meeting room. You know, you walk in, long tables, all these faces looking back at me, standing there thinking, how on earth have I got here? And then I proceed to tell this story about crossing the Atlantic, about one time I crossed the Atlantic, and we went through a bit of a storm and etc. and all this thing. And then I realized, and I hadn't planned for this. Halfway through it, when the audience is kind of on the edge of their seats, and I'm like, well, what happened? You know, what happened? I realized, I went, holy shit, guys. And I went, what? And I said, this storm that I went through is no different from the financial storm we're going through right now in Ireland. We can't control the weather. I said, on this yacht, although all the crew had different roles on the yacht, the only thing we could do is adjust our sales strategy for your company. I hope you realize there's the link, and basically linked it all back. And it just blew the room away. Now, I hadn't planned that, and I've always said, and I always will say, that came from above. I don't know where that came from. I don't know, it just arrived, you know? And then, so what happened then was at the end of that conversation, Pat, who's been in business for a long time, said, I've seen a lot of you guys. And he said, Paul, he said, you've got something really special there. He said, you know what? He said, I'm going to give you an opportunity. He said, could you write me a sales program for this sales team to get them through the rough ride and the storm we're all going through now? So I just did the Richard Branson, which is say yes and worry about it later. Okay. I remember walking out of the hotel going, oh my God, what have I just agreed to now? And then, so what happens was then I just went to work educating myself, just self-education. You know, I really believe that learning never stops. And if you learn more, you can give more and you can teach more. So what I did was I went and I looked at all the different sales training programs and all these different things. And I said, okay, that works great. That works great. Techniques and all that. I'm not into that. Move that away. And did all of this stuff and came up with a program for them. And that business grew. And I was very lucky because then Pat sits on the board of different companies. And before you know it, I was delivering in a pharmaceutical and then another company and then another company and then another company. So that's how I got into speaking, which was a crazy universal shift. And so now I had Sailing West, which was the sailing school, going really great. I've now got this whole new career in speaking that I'm loving, of where I can take all these skills and transfer it across. And then I find myself on a go-kart track in North Wales. And I came and I'd finished the race last. On the stag do. And I pull my phone out of my pocket, dig in through the overalls, pull the sweaty helmet off. And I see that I've got a missed call from a number that I don't know, but I can see that there's a voicemail. And so I pick up the voicemail, and all I hear is, "Paul, this is your lucky day. Call me back now." I was like, who the hell is this? What the hell is this? And so what do you think I did? I called back, of course. So I called back, and that's when myself and Eddie Jordan met, who's become a great friend and a great mentor. But it's quite funny because in the beginning, although I could hear the Irish accent on the phone, I didn't trust it because I'm on a stag do now. I've just come off the go-kart track. Somebody here is having me on, right? So I'm now on the phone like this, and okay, so if you're Eddie Jordan, then where the hell are you now? And he goes, well, I'm sitting on my yacht, the Snapper, in Monaco. And I was like, Mr. Jordan, what can I do for you? And that, again, was another fork in the road, because Eddie, unbeknown to me, was building a yacht, and he had got myself and Audrey's name through a mutual friend. And he was looking for a captain and a first mate to hop on board and take the yacht around the world with him. And so now we end up with this whole decision, because we've got Sailing West that's going really great. We've got this new speaking thing going really, really great. We've got Audrey is a dentist, passionate sailor. She's a dentist by trade. And so she's in a really beautiful, swanky practice in Black Rock. And so now we have to say, okay, do we just drop all this? And of course, every business, no matter what you do, it takes blood, sweat, and tears. We've all been there. We've all been there doing the late nights, the early mornings, pushing through when it's tough. And so now, like, the universe has given us this choice of, okay, just drop all of this. We'll see how flexible you are. Drop all of this, and then let's, and do you want to go off and sell around the world? And I can remember it took us quite a lot. We nearly turned it down, which was crazy when I think about it now. Thank God we didn't. But one of the premises to going was not only spending time with some incredible people, but also it was the content that I would learn, as in the experiences that we would go through, would just be unique and really special. And that then I could bring back into the business world. Into people, because that's what business really is. I really believe that business is nothing more than people and trust. That's it. I think if you can master those two skills, you'll get to where you want to go. So I realized that the content that I would bring back would be really powerful. And then so we embarked on this whole new journey of sailing around the world on this beautiful yacht, going to some incredible places, experiencing some incredible things. And now we're back, and so that's 35 to 39.
Wow.
A lot can happen. But wow. Yeah. Incredible.
Okay, thank you. What exciting. You can connect with Paul and you can hear. And of course, I've seen your TED talk on that as well.
Okay.
So Paul's done a TED talk. Okay, so we're going to get on with the show which is our quick fire round. Okay, so I just require short answers for this one. So these answers I want to come from your heart. Okay.
No problem.
Are you a TV or a radio boy?
TV.
Do you like fiction or non-fiction?
Non-fiction.
Are you the oldest, middle, or youngest child?
Youngest.
Ah, okay. And at school, were you the goody two-shoes? Were you the class clown? Were you a bit of a handful, or were you under the radar all the time?
Under the radar, I'd say. Under the radar.
Okay. And nowadays, what would it is?
Sorry, just say that again, Jill. You froze there a little bit.
What would you say your best habit is?
My best habit, I think, is smiling, actually. I think it's smiling.
I agree.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your worst habit?
I think, like everybody, a bit of self-doubt now and again.
Okay. And what do you do to relax?
I go sailing. I still go sailing. So we have a boat here in the south of England, and we take the family out and we sail pretty much every weekend.
Okay. And do you have any nicknames, or have you ever had any nicknames?
Yeah, I have two nicknames. It started off as Paolo, okay, which came from a good friend here in Southampton, an Irish guy actually, and Eddie changed it to Paleo. And the reason he changed it to Paleo is I could go around the world for 3 years through the tropics and still look as pale as this. And so Paolo flipped over to Paleo, and every time he calls me, like, Paleo, what are you up to? So yeah, Paleo.
Okay, perfect. Now, I don't know whether you know this, but my first passion is music. I'm a singer, as a classical singer, actually. So it's quite nice that you've we're talking about your love for music as well. But I also do all sorts of other stuff as well. So if I was to drag you up, your karaoke song.
Oh, good question. Oh, there's so many. The first one that comes to mind, probably Van der Man, and it would probably be, I can't remember the name of the song, which probably everyone thinks, well, how does he know? It's the one about sailing, the Van der Man song. Ah, God. Anyway, I can't remember the name. I can sing it to you. Sing it to me.
Go on, sing it to me.
It goes now, hark, hear the angels cry, smell the sea and feel the sky. Into the Mystic, that's us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Into the Mystic. Yeah. Van Morrison.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no other person. All right, so I'm going to move you on to another scenario. We've got a few minutes left. So This one is, I've been with my husband now for 35 years.
Wow.
36 years, 36 years, something like that.
Brilliant.
A couple of years ago, we went to America and spent a month. And we were 24 hours a day the whole time, apart from one day where he went off on a Harley Davidson. And the whole time that we were away. So if I was to send you away and take away all the stress, because we had all our flights organized for us and all our hotels were all organized, if I was to take away the stress of all of that, who would you take on holiday with you that you could spend a whole month with without a crossword?
My soulmate Audrey, who is my beautiful wife. I couldn't leave my two children at home. I have Charlie, who is just coming up to 2, and Anna Grace, who is 10 weeks old. So I couldn't leave those two behind. However, where I would go is I'd go to Tonga, to a little place called the Vava'u Group, which is a place that we sailed to, which is just stunning on so many different levels. Not just the fact that, like, if you're going to fly there, it'd be a right mission, because you have to go down to Auckland and then fly up on these really old planes and up. But basically, I'd go to Tonga because the people are just so beautiful. The ocean there is stunning. It's completely untouched, which means you can snorkel with coral fans that are hundreds and hundreds of years old. The local kids are just beautiful. Like, everything about Tonga is just fabulous. And we both said, actually, when we left Tonga, we were lucky enough to spend 3 weeks there. Is that we both said we'll be back with our kids in the future, and we absolutely will be back. So Tonga is where to go.
Okay, Tonga, I can visualize Tonga. All right. So back on the music theme. Now we are making there is a book commissioned out of this radio series.
Cool.
That radio all around the world. In fact, it's called Around the World in 80 Days. It's starting in London in October and ending in London. In fact, it's going to Scotland. So it's following the Jules Verne trail of Around the World in 80 Days.
Very good.
But because of my passion for music is to create a playlist from all of my guests. And to do is to choose one track that you would like added to this playlist. And that track has to be the one track that makes you feel light-hearted.
I would say the one track, I'd have to look it up. It's called This Land, and it's from The Lion King, actually. And it's just a beautiful piece of music. It's a stunning piece of music. And yeah, like when I hear that piece of music, just boom, totally just unlocks all emotions in me completely. So yeah,
I'm very happy to have that on my playlist. I'm a big Lion King fan. I've been at least twice, and frankly, I could go every week. I get a little bit distracted because I end up watching the percussionists.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's a beautiful
because of my music thing. Yeah. So I'm very happy to have that in my playlist. Okay, so and my final question before we come back to a little bit about you and your business is, as you know, my real passion these days is around health and well-being. Yeah. And I've written a book called The Heart of a Woman, How to Change the World. And so my last question for you is twofold.
Okay.
How do you look after your physical heart? So what do you do in order to keep fit and well? But also, how do you look after your emotional heart too?
Okay. So physical heart, I mean, that's really just a ritual of choosing what to put inside. You know, diet is really important. And, you know, I've definitely had, I think like most people on the planet, I've had times that my weight's done this and my health has done this, where I focus on something else, you take your eyes off your health, and then before you know it, those pounds just creep on, until you get to a point where you look in the mirror and you go, holy moly, you're fat, you got to sort this out, you know? So in terms of that, then, you know, I choose what I eat and then regular exercise. So, and that exercise can be simple, just walking with the kids. It could be going down the beach. It could be going down to my local gym, or, you know, just cycling, whatever it may be. So that's how I'd look after my physical heart. My emotional heart, it's just focusing on what's great in my life. And, you know, I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed to have met the girl of my dreams, and to spend, you know, and I was lucky that she said yes. And, you know, that's, you know, with 10 years, we're coming up to 8 years married, but 10 years together. I remember Audrey in the beginning said, I've never had a relationship over 6 months, you know, always bring her back to that one. Anyway, and we're 10 years together, and now we've been given these 2 beautiful children that are just, I mean, those, you know, Charlie and Anna Grace are just gorgeous souls. And so just looking after my emotional heart is really just focusing on everything that's great in my life. It's so easy, you know, and I think most of us do this because it's a human condition, is it's easy to focus on maybe what's not going right, or focus on the little thing that's wrong. And we forget the things that are really important, which is that, you know, for example, you know, oxygen is important. You know, if you take oxygen away, we're all going to physically die. But, you know, so my point is people can focus on crazy things. So I make sure that I focus on being grateful. And really, when I listen to music or when I work with people, you know, I really try to make a difference, and that looks after my emotional heart too. And I think that's come from my childhood. We never really spoke about my childhood. It was quite interesting at times, put it that way. You know, there's no point going into the story, but from that, at one point, if you had taken me back to 16, I stammered so bad that actually I couldn't even string a sentence together. But so that will give you an idea that I went through a bit of turbulence when I was young. But what I've learned is all of that.
And now you're a
yeah, I know. Yeah, but But what I've learned, I've taken all of that pain, all of that upset, and what it's given me is just a really strong emotional strength, so I can reach anyone. And it means that and I think that and that's what I love doing. I love helping people. I just love to see people break through. I just think it's brilliant. And people, and it's really them. My job is just to ask the right questions and guide them the right way. So yeah. So that was probably a bit long-winded, Jill, but I'm sure you'll feel it. That's for sure.
I do absolutely feel it as well. And I love the fact that it's a long time for me because my youngest child next month, but I very lovely feeling of having those very young children. And Marina Nani, who is the creator of W.O.R.K.S, she's got grandchildren now, and looking forward to that, because that connection you have with these little souls in your head. I absolutely agree with that. Okay, so before and then I'd like you to tell us a little bit, but we're going to go back. I'm going to allow you to talk about business to the last few minutes of the show. So I'd like you to tell us what's coming up for you. So in the next few weeks, maybe, what's happening for you that you're really excited?
Well, okay, so number one, I'm in the UK now. On Thursday, I fly to Ireland. So Audrey and the kids are over in the west coast of Ireland at the moment with her parents and the family over there. So I've come back to the UK for 7 days of no children, no interruptions, pure focus, clarity, and crack on. So I'm back to Ireland on Thursday, which I'm really looking forward to. And then next week, I'm actually down, and I've just been engaged by a distillery in Ireland, who is a very good friend of mine. And so I'm going to be working with him in terms of promoting that. And there's a small team there that basically they started producing a gin called Gunpowder Gin. And, it's gone off the scale. It's everywhere. You'll see it over here in the UK. It's going global. It's going everywhere. And so I'm blessed to be going and working with that team and helping those guys.
Well, gin's the big gin hack, really, isn't it? Everybody's drinking
right,
gin.
exactly.
All these flavoured gins.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm working with those guys. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to the Quest company that I work with are super, and they are visionaries. So I'm looking forward to going and working with them. So I see them for 3 or 4 days every month, the different teams, the different people. So I love that, because I can just.
So which company? I missed that. Which company?
So I do a lot of work with Horseware Ireland. And
okay.
So if you're into horses, you'll definitely know Horseware Ireland. So
yeah, I absolutely do. I used to work for the British Equestrian Federation, and my daughter was an elite athlete with one of the sports.
There you go. There's the link. So yeah, absolutely. So Horseware is brilliant because Tom, who started and owns and runs the company, is a real visionary. I was talking about a disruptor and just being a real creator. He's an incredible man, and so I love working with Tom and Kieran and the whole team there. It's just fantastic. And then next month, as I said, then I'm going to Paris to speak for Indeed, which I'm really thrilled about, because I still cannot believe that I've been banging on about the disruptors. And then Indeed have come out from the nowhere. So I'm going to speak at their annual conference that's in Paris, somewhere near the Eiffel Tower, I believe. It's on a boat, so I'll feel right at home. And it's working with 50 of their top account managers, whoever they are, from around the world. So that should be quite interesting. So I'm really excited about that. And then just really excited. And then I'm also still do a lot of work with Eddie. And so I'm really excited because I'm going racing with Eddie in Palma on his yacht, the yacht that I took around the world, at the end of September. So I spend a week with Eddie and his pals there, and we're taking his yacht racing. And Eddie's such a good guy. Like, he's become like my second father, effectively. He's such a lovely fella. And so I'm going out there with family and friends, and we're going to go and race his yacht around the racetrack in Palma, Mallorca.
Oh, it's a hard life, Paul Adamson.
So it's a hard life, but I couldn't tell you. But the only thing that I can say to anybody is that, you know what? like it's as Steve Jobs says, which is you can't connect the dots moving forwards, only looking backwards. So you have to trust that they somehow connect in the future. And I think that's so brilliant, because I've got no idea where this river is taking me, although I've learned to just enjoy the ride and just accept.
Just that moment of allowing things to come in is and it's part of our own, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, just allowing, opening, just enjoying the journey. And I really believe, you know, I really, really, really deeply believe that life is always happening for us and not to us. And that way, whenever I find that I come across challenges, because of course I come across challenges, everybody does, you know, I just say, okay, cool. This is a time to learn, grow, and share. And I always say that, even when it gets tough, you know, that, you know, because, you know, taking this path at times has been a struggle, but, you know, but I've stuck with it and focused on what's working and kept going. And I'm lucky that the universe has allowed me to do what I do. So I feel very blessed. And my motto is one life, live it. And I live by that. If I ever have a question where I'm on the fence, I need to make a decision, you know, for example, going away with Eddie and Marie for 3 years, myself and Audrey, we just said, one life, live it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's so true.
That would have been a complete no-brainer for me. But, you know, you have to be quite brave to make those decisions. And a lot of people wouldn't have made that decision. So, you know, I applaud.
Thanks very much.
So I've put up your website address here.
Right, thank you very much.
For you. I've started a conversation absolutely fascinating. You're actually aching because you've made me smile so much. I hope you've enjoyed our conversation too.
Oh, I loved it. I've absolutely loved it. Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to do another one for sure.
We will indeed. Okay, so I hope you have and I know that you and I are going to be in touch real soon.
Yeah. All right, Jill. Take care. Take care, everybody. Bye. One life, live it. Woo!
It's not going off.